Welcome back to the Illinois Fighting Illini Dynasty. I'm your host, Jay Shoob, and today we're going to put a bow on Season 1. It was a season that Illini fans will never forget. The first one under the David Deal regime. An incredible 9-4 season, which saw some incredible highs, some lows, some outstanding breakout seasons from a few players, and the rise of future stars of the Illini program. We're going to start today by showing the results of the playoff and bowl games, and then we'll show a little bit of the season and team stats for Illinois. So to get started here, we will sim the first semifinal games. So, of course, Auburn and Washington in the Cotton Bowl, and then Oklahoma versus Florida is the Orange Bowl. So we're going to go ahead here and sim Auburn versus Washington. And Auburn gets the win. Auburn wins 40-24 over Washington. So after losing the SEC championship game to Florida, their only loss on the season, Auburn rebounds in the college football playoff, and they win the semifinal game over Washington. You can see Auburn here pulled away late in the fourth quarter and ended up beating Washington. And then Oklahoma versus Florida, the other semifinal matchup. Florida, of course, the only undefeated team remaining. And they are now 14-0. Florida beats Oklahoma in a close game. Emory Jones in Florida take out Spencer Rattler in Oklahoma. You see Emory Jones with a pass to Justin Shorter with 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter to get the go-ahead touchdown and win the Orange Bowl. So it'll be an SEC rematch of Auburn versus Florida in the national championship now. The second time that two SEC teams will be facing off in the championship game in the playoff era. And it, of course, is a rematch of the SEC championship game where Florida beat Auburn pretty handedly. So now for the rest of the bowl results here, we're looking at the Big Ten. Wisconsin loses to USC in the Las Vegas Bowl. Penn State loses a high-scoring game to TCU. Minnesota beats up on Oregon State. Michigan State gets beat up by 18 by LSU. Iowa loses to North Carolina. North Carolina, who thought they may have gotten snubbed by the playoff committee, beats Iowa. Ohio State loses to South Carolina by 3. Michigan loses to Kentucky in overtime in the Outback Bowl. And then Arizona State beats Nebraska in the Rose Bowl. Wow. A rough bowl season for the Big Ten, to say the least. The Big Ten goes 2-7 in bowl games. Illinois and Minnesota are the only two teams that won their bowl games in the conference. So that definitely is not a good look on the national scale for the Big Ten. And we'll go ahead and take a look at some of the other bowl results here. The ACC went 4-4 during bowl season. The Big 12 went 3-4. The Pac-12 also went 3-4. And the SEC had the best bowl season by far. They went 8-1. That's not including the national championship game, where they, of course, will be playing each other. So the SEC dominating bowl season, and they have two teams in the national championship game. Virginia won their bowl game, as you just saw a few seconds ago. Iowa State beats up on UCLA. Oregon beats Florida State. Some of these other games here. Of course, North Carolina winning the Peach Bowl over Iowa. Virginia Tech, the Battle of the Techs, they beat Texas Tech. Clemson beats down on East Carolina, an in-state matchup there in the PlayStation Fiesta Bowl. Clemson, no surprise, gets the win there. Georgia beats Texas pretty handily, 26-10. Of course, we just saw the results of the semifinal games. So it'll be Florida and Auburn in the national championship. And Florida wins the national championship. They beat Auburn 33-28. Now, on the graphic there, it says Oklahoma, but it really should be Auburn. But you can see here in this game, it was a close back and forth game, but Florida pulled away late. They got a touchdown there with 21 seconds to go. Dameon Pierce, the pass from Emory Jones, and Florida beats Auburn for the second time this year. They go undefeated 15-0 and win the national championship. Quite an impressive season from the Florida Gators. So they finished number 1 in the final top 25 polls. North Carolina 2. Georgia comes up at number 3. You see Nebraska finishes 9. Iowa drops to 15, and there's our Illini at 15. Iowa is 14. So there's our Illini finishing the 3rd highest ranked team in the Big Ten in the top 25 polls. That's just was not on anyone's radar at the beginning of the season, finishing there. Minnesota gets in the top 25. And we'll take a look here at the final standings here in the Big Ten. Nebraska finishes 11-3 as the division winners and conference champions. Ohio State, with a pretty odd season for them, they finish 8-6 after winning the Big Ten East. And now we'll take a look at the stats here. Sam Howell is the passing leader in college football. Rondale Robinson is the receiving leader. Tariq Barnes, Artavius Martin leading in tackles. Jamal Woods and Keith Randolph leading sacks. Woods from Louisiana Tech leads in interceptions in NCAA. And then Southern from Utah gets the longest field goal of the season. Taking a look here at Illinois' season stats, Matt Robinson led in passer rating, but a small sample size from him coming in relief. Isaiah Williams finishes with 133 QB rating. He gets 2,200 yards passing, 18 touchdowns to 10 interceptions, averaged about 170 yards per game, a 60% completion percentage for Isaiah Williams. So overall, not the greatest QB stats there, but not terrible. Isaiah Williams, arguably middle of the pack, I'd say, in college football and Power 5 as far as quarterback stats go. He did struggle with interceptions, especially later on in the year. Mike Epstein, no surprise, almost gets to 1,500 yards rushing on the season. If he had played the Northwestern game, there's no doubt in my mind he would have eclipsed 1,500 yards. But an outstanding season, senior season for him. He averaged 6.1 yards per carry, 12 touchdowns on the year for him. Kyron Cumbie leads Illinois in receptions. Cumbie, an emerging star on this team. He's just a sophomore, so he'll be around for at least another year or two. Epstein, Navarro, Armstrong, Kamari Thompson, Luke Ford, all up at the top there in receptions, which is no surprise. As far as receiving yards, Kamari Thompson, believe it or not, leads the Illini receivers in receiving yards. He had a lot of big catches, big plays whenever he did, and he also led the team in touchdowns. So Kamari Thompson, that's a player that you would not have thought at the beginning of the year would end up finishing leading this receiving core in yardage and touchdowns. But like I said, when he did get a reception, it was usually a big one. Donnie Navarro was second with 4 receiving touchdowns on the year. As far as the offensive line, Kendrick Green led the team with 4 pancakes. No surprise there. He was definitely the best lineman up front for Illinois. Blake Chersady, the senior at right guard, struggled with sacks. Brevin Jones as well over at left tackle, struggled on the year with giving up sacks. Julian Pearl, surprisingly, over at right tackle, did not give up many sacks on the year, so that was good for him. Preston Angle as well. So a bit of hot and cold on the offensive line this year for Illinois. As far as defensively, should be no surprise at all that Tariq Barnes, the anchor at middle linebacker, leads the team in total tackles. Artavius Martin up there second. We can look here at tackles for losses. Seth Coleman led the team in tackles for loss. Keith Randolph, Tariq Barnes, Jamal Woods, Shimon Cooper all up there as well. And sacks, Jamal Woods leading the NCAA with 14 sacks on the season. Jamal Woods was a monster. Keith Randolph was second with 12. Seth Coleman and Calvin Avery with 9 and 6 respectively. Just an absolute stud defensive line. One of the best positional units in all of college football there that Illinois had on the defensive line this year. Daniel Everish, Artavius Martin, Devin Witherspoon, Eddie Smith all had a couple interceptions each. Good to see the true freshmen getting their hands on the ball there this season. Beeson, Tariq Barnes, and Prince Green also had interceptions of their own as well. And pass deflections, Marquez Beeson finishes first on the team with 4 pass deflections on the season. Jartavius Martin, Eddie Smith with 3 each. Beeson quietly had a bad start to the year, but he got it going down towards the second half of the season. He finished pretty strong, I would say. And forced fumbles. Tariq Barnes laid down the hammer on some hits this year. Beeson happened to be there for a couple fumble recoveries. So those are the defensive stats. As far as the kicking game, Caleb Griffin was very solid this season. Fourth-year junior was 17 of 19 on the year, an 89% field goal percentage there. His longest was 47 yards, so a very solid season from Caleb Griffin. He'll be back next year for his senior season. And Hugh Robinson, as far as punting, the freshman, not too bad. He averaged 40 yards per punt, a net of just over 1,000 yards on the season. Kickoff returns was something out of a lightning rod this year with Kyron Cumbie back there. He almost got 2,000 yards in kickoff returns, which is just insane. He averaged over 30 yards, got 3 kickoff return touchdowns. He was outstanding. And DeLayvin Campbell as well, not bad in punt returns either. Averaged 12.9 punt return yards. And as far as the team stats here for Illinois, offensively, in total offense, they were sort of middle of the pack, coming in at 7th in the Big Ten in total offense. You can see Ohio State, Nebraska, Michigan, Iowa were the likes of these teams that had really good offenses this season. If we split it by passing yards, Illinois, once again, about middle of the pack in passing yards. In rushing yards, Illinois was a little bit better. Ohio State was outstanding on the ground, 3,000 yards rushing. That is fantastic for the Buckeyes, but it wasn't enough to win the conference championship. As far as defensively, Michigan was first in total defense, and Illinois was surprisingly 3rd overall in the conference in total defense, which is a little surprising to me. But the defense really stepped it up at the end of the year. But you can see here just the gap of this disparity. Passing yards allowed, Illinois was 2nd to last in the conference, just ahead of Iowa. So the secondary really struggled at times. But as far as rushing yards allowed, it was not even close. Illinois was the best as far as defensive rushes allowed, rushing yards allowed. Thanks to this defensive line that just really wreaked havoc all season. They led the conference in sacks, no surprise. Illinois was middle of the pack in interceptions. They did force a few fumbles on the year as well. As far as conversions, this is kind of stuff that is always interesting to look at. Illinois was 5th in 3rd down conversion percentage, which is not bad. 47% on 3rd downs this year. And they were pretty good on 4th downs as well, a 71% conversion rate on 4th down, which is 3rd in the conference. Some of the red zone stats here as well. Offensive red zone percentage, Illinois scored in the red zone 86% of the time, which is tied for 2nd best in the conference, which is very good. And then defensively as well, Illinois was up there in defensive red zone percentage as well. But here was one of the team's biggest faults was turnovers. And not surprisingly, Illinois was 2nd to last in turnover differential with -7 turnovers on the year. You want to see that differential get back up. I know turnovers are just part of the game, but Illinois had a few too many of them this season. That's something that they'll look to clean up going into next year for sure. So alright guys, that's going to wrap up today's episode. I hope you enjoyed this recap. We will advance to the offseason now and take a look here at David Deal's contract. You can ignore the years there. 2014, it might as well be 2021. I simmed 1 year into the Dynasty before I started playing. So Deal is actually in his first year in his contract, and it is starting in 2021. Illinois finishes 9-4 with a New Era Pinstripe Bowl victory to start Deal's resume. And you can ignore some of the numbers up there, as I said, because I simmed the first season and then I implemented the recruiting class and started in the 2nd year. Alright guys, thank you so much again for watching. I really appreciate it when you guys watch and comment on the videos. It makes it a lot more fun when I get to interact with you guys, and I try to respond and listen to everything that you guys say, take in input. If you have any comments, suggestions, or just anything like you want to see certain players get more involved in the actual game, or you just like a certain player, you like what you've seen from certain players, certain things, certain strategies, anything of that nature, even uniforms, anything like that, always feel free to comment. I love, like I said, I love when you guys interact. It makes it more motivating for me to keep doing these videos and everything. You know, this isn't my full-time job whatsoever. I have a job, so this is kind of like my hobby. I do this on the side, and I've put a lot of work and effort into this Dynasty. It definitely takes a bit of time, especially doing the editing and then recording the videos, editing them, playing the actual games themselves, doing the voice commentary over the edited videos. You know, I don't do this the lazy way, I do this the hard way, but it makes the videos a lot better. You know, my goal is to make this Dynasty really stand out and differentiate myself on YouTube, give you guys an experience that's similar to that if you were to watch an actual game. I want to give you guys an authentic football watching experience. Like when you go to watch one of my Illinois videos, it feels like you're watching an actual game with actual commentary. I don't make any clickbaity titles. I don't post spoilers in the title as well. I really try to make it as much of an authentic, realistic watching experience as possible. And I know that may not necessarily be the best marketing strategy to make this channel blow up or to get more views on this Dynasty, but that's just how I envision this Dynasty going, and that's how I want to make them. So again, it just really helps me out a lot and helps motivate me when you guys comment. You know, I'm not going to be the guy to ask you to like and subscribe and thumbs up every single video, but it really does help when you do that. It helps get the Dynasty more exposure. And like I said, I don't do this the lazy way, the easy way. I do this the hard way. I put a lot of time and effort into this, and as I said, this is not my full-time job. I obviously do not get paid to do this, so motivation is a huge factor in me keeping this up and keeping this Dynasty going. So with that being said, thank you guys again for watching. Hope you've enjoyed the season all year long, and check out the Season 1 highlight video. I will upload this shortly after this video is put on the channel. The Season 1 highlight montage is a masterpiece. It was one of my favorite videos that I've made so far. It'll only be 6.5 minutes long, so I hope you guys go check that one out. It just really brings life to this Dynasty, and I think you guys will like it a lot. So go ahead and check out that video. It'll be on the Dynasty playlist. And with that being said, that'll conclude Season 1, guys. We finally made it here. And whenever I upload the next video, we will go over the off season, which will be a lot of fun, a lot of content to cover there. So the off season will be next up. Once again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.